Good morning, Alex and friends. I'm Grace. Today is Friday, January 31st, 2025, and you're listening to Alex's News. The weather in Riverside will be mild today, with a high of 64 degrees and a low of 42.1 degrees Fahrenheit. Coming up, we'll examine the potential consequences of Trump's latest trade policy decisions regarding tariffs on Canada and Mexico. Then, we'll explore why California residents are seeing their utility bills impacted by wildfire-related costs. Finally, we'll look at a breakthrough in medical science with a promising new painkiller that could revolutionize how we treat pain without the risk of addiction. All this and more coming up on Alex's News. Stay tuned. We begin with breaking news on international trade this morning, as former President Trump announces major new tariffs targeting two of America's closest trading partners. For more on this developing story, we're joined by our economic correspondent, Ethan Parker. Ethan, walk us through what we know so far.
Thanks, Grace. According to CBS News, Trump has just announced plans to impose 25% tariffs on both Canada and Mexico, set to take effect tomorrow, February 1st. This is a significant move that's already sending shockwaves through North American markets.
What's behind this sudden decision?
Well, The Guardian reports that Trump has cited multiple reasons for these tariffs. He's demanding both nations take stronger action on undocumented immigration and drug trafficking, particularly fentanyl. There are also concerns about trade surpluses and economic subsidies that Trump claims put American businesses at a disadvantage.
How are Canada and Mexico responding to this announcement?
According to reporting from The Guardian, both countries are preparing robust responses. Canada has already pledged $1.3 billion for enhanced border security measures. Both nations are also considering retaliatory tariffs. Canada is looking at matching the 25% rate on U.S. imports, while Mexico is specifically targeting agricultural and food products.
What kind of economic impact could we see from these tariffs, Ethan?
CBS News has spoken with several economic experts who are painting a concerning picture, Grace. They're warning of potential consequences, including renewed inflation pressures, slower economic growth, and higher consumer prices. In fact, they're projecting these tariffs could drive consumer price inflation up by 3 to 4%.
And I understand this is particularly significant for Mexico's economy?
That's right. The Guardian spoke with Kenneth Smith Ramos, Mexico's former trade negotiator, who compared the situation to a game of chicken. This is especially critical because exports make up 40% of Mexico's GDP, with over 80% of those exports heading to the U.S. We're already seeing immediate market reactions, with both the Mexican peso and Canadian dollar declining in value.
And what's the legal basis for implementing these tariffs so quickly?
According to analysis from Holland and Knight, the administration may use the International Emergency Economic Powers Act to expedite these tariffs. This follows Trump's America First Trade Policy Memorandum from January 20th, which called for a comprehensive review of U.S. trade policy, with reports due by April 30th.
Thank you for that comprehensive breakdown, Ethan. We'll be sure to keep our viewers updated as this story develops. We turn now to a developing story about rising utility costs in Southern California. Joining us to discuss this is our business correspondent, Chloe Martinez. Chloe, tell us about this major decision from state regulators.
Thanks, Grace. According to Cal Matters, the California Public Utilities Commission, or CPUC, has just approved a significant settlement that will affect millions of Southern California Edison customers. The commission voted 4-0 yesterday to allow the utility company to raise rates to cover claims from the devastating 2017 Thomas Fire and the tragic Montecito mudslides that followed.
What kind of rate increase are we looking at here?
The Los Angeles Times reports that the approved settlement amounts to $1.7 billion, which is actually about $1 billion less than what Southern California Edison initially requested. The utility will also be required to set aside $50 million of their own shareholder funds specifically for wildfire mitigation over the next 5 years.
Can you remind our viewers about the extent of damage from these disasters?
The Thomas Fire was catastrophic, Grace. It burned through roughly 282,000 acres across Santa Barbara and Ventura counties, destroying more than 1,000 structures. 2 people lost their lives in the fire itself. But the tragedy didn't end there. The subsequent debris flows in Montecito claimed 23 additional lives. Investigations confirmed that SCE's equipment sparked 2 separate ignitions on December 4, 2017.
How will this impact the average customer's monthly bill?
The rate increase will be spread over 30 years to minimize the immediate impact. Most customers will see about a $1 increase in their monthly bills. However, it's worth noting that SCE has already paid out $2.7 billion to over 5,000 fire victims, with approximately $1.6 billion of that now being covered by customers through these rate increases.
I understand there's been some pushback to this decision?
Yes, there has. 7 Democratic state legislators opposed this decision, and many public comments argued against making customers pay for utility negligence. SCE disputes these negligence claims, pointing to climate change as a contributing factor. And Grace, there might be more increases coming. SCE is currently seeking additional rate hikes to cover $5.4 billion in damages from the 2018 Woolsey fire, which could push total increases above 2%.
Thank you for breaking this down for us, Chloe. We'll be sure to keep our viewers updated on any developments. Here are some other headlines. 5 years after Britain's historic departure from the European Union, the impacts continue to unfold. Trade and productivity are down, with exports and imports projected to be 15% lower in the long run. Surprisingly, immigration has increased due to a rise in global work visas, contrary to Brexit supporters' expectations. In Washington, the U.S. Agency for International Development is experiencing significant upheaval following a 90-day foreign assistance freeze. Dozens of senior officials have been placed on administrative leave, and thousands of contractors have been laid off. The freeze has created uncertainty among aid organizations, though waivers have been granted for certain critical programs. Tragedy struck near Reagan-Washington National Airport when an American Airlines plane collided with an Army Black Hawk helicopter, resulting in 67 deaths, including 3 soldiers and more than a dozen figure skaters. The incident has reignited long-standing concerns about the complexity of DC's airspace, with investigators noting the helicopter was flying 100 feet above its permitted altitude. Iconic British singer and actress Marianne Faithfull has died at age 78. Known for her 1964 hit As Tears Go By and her relationship with Mick Jagger, Faithfull was a prominent figure of the British invasion, who later made a remarkable comeback with her 1979 album, Broken English. Archaeologists have discovered the oldest evidence of lead pollution in northeastern Greece, near the island of Thasos. Dating back 5,200 years, the finding suggests that environmental contamination from human activities began much earlier than previously thought, particularly during ancient Greek and Roman times. We turn now to a major breakthrough in medical science. The FDA has just approved what could be a game-changing new painkiller, and we have our health correspondent Ethan Thompson here to break down this significant development. Ethan?
Thanks, Grace. Yesterday, the FDA gave the green light to a revolutionary new painkiller called Journavex, developed by Vertex Pharmaceuticals. According to the Los Angeles Times, what makes this drug truly remarkable is that it's the first new approach to pain treatment we've seen in more than 2 decades.
What makes this drug different from the painkillers currently on the market?
Well, Grace, as reported by Yahoo News, the key difference lies in how it works. Traditional opioids interact with receptors in the brain, which can lead to addiction. But Journavex takes a completely different approach, as it actually blocks pain signals before they even reach the brain, by targeting specific proteins. This mechanism was inspired by studying people with a rare genetic condition that makes them unable to feel pain.
That's fascinating. How effective has it proven to be in trials?
According to Forbes, the clinical trials involved 870 patients who were experiencing pain from foot and abdominal surgeries. While Journavex did outperform placebos, it's worth noting that it didn't actually work better than traditional opioid-acetaminophen combinations. Some patients did experience side effects like nausea, constipation, itching, rash, and headaches.
What about the cost? Will this be accessible to the average patient?
That's a crucial question, Grace. The drug is being priced at $15.50 per pill, which is substantially higher than generic opioids. Forbes reports that Wall Street analysts are projecting annual sales could reach $1 billion. but the high price point could present challenges for insurance coverage and widespread adoption.
And how significant could this development be in addressing the opioid crisis?
The timing couldn't be more critical, Grace. Forbes has reported that opioid-related deaths reached 80,816 in 2021, and an estimated 2.7 million people over age 11 had an opioid use disorder in 2020. While Journavex is currently only approved for short-term pain management following surgery or injuries, Vertex is planning additional studies to explore its use in treating chronic pain as well.
Thank you for that comprehensive report, Ethan. This is certainly a development we'll continue to follow closely. That's all we have for now. Today's episode was made by Alexander King with Claude Sonnet 3.5, the Perplexity API, and the Google Cloud Text-to-Speech API. I hope you have a great day. I'll see you tomorrow, Alex.